you love writing, write. And if you want to get published, find a way to get published and get your work out there.
Welcome to Angle on Writing, a podcast about writing, publishing, and book marketing. Greetings, writers. I've got a fabulous and full episode for you today because I have a author and publisher and the publishing director of the San Diego Writers Festival. Welcome, Holly Kammier.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to have this conversation.
Me too. So with such a prestigious resume, how did you get into this field? I mean, have you always loved books?
Oh, yes. I have always loved books. And I think my dad had me reading Steinbeck when I was probably 6 or 7 years old, way too young to even understand what I was reading. But I just always found books to be special, just the smell of them, holding them. They felt like magic to me. So I've always loved books. But growing up, I wanted to be a journalist. And so that's what I was for quite a while. I worked in the news business and I loved it. And then I took some time off work. I had my first son. And while I was taking time off, I wrote a book. And um, Acorn Publishing grew out of that. I'd had a I had a journalism background, and I also did PR too. So a lot of when I was younger and I had even more energy than I'll ever have again, I would work, on the weekends in Palm Springs as a television reporter, and then during the week I was working in publicity, in Los Angeles. So I had a PR background and journalism, and my best friend Jessica Tarian had a publishing background, and so when we both had books that we wanted to publish with full control, we joined together and created Acorn Publishing, first for ourselves. Then when our books did well, we started slowly opening it up to others. And when their books did well, we thought, well, we're on to something. And so we can grow this. And this can be something that we do while we're raising our children on a work schedule that will work for being stay-home mothers as well. And, in the last few years, my kids have now left. The youngest one just moved out. And so I have a lot more time, which has been wonderful to really start taking on more authors. We kept it very limited for a long time, very boutique. And in the last few years, we've opened it up a lot more. So it's been really fun to see this huge growth in the last few years.
And your company is what they call a hybrid publishing company. So
Yes.
can you talk a little bit about that? Because some people uh, don't really know what that is. They do the DIY, or they are
Mhm.
looking for a publisher because they want to do traditional publishing, and but then there's the small presses, and then there's hybrid. So
Yes. Yes. So it used to be, you had your traditional publishing houses, and then you had what people call vanity press. And that was you pay somebody to publish a book for you, and they will take anything. So it's a completely unvetted process. It's really just a matter of paying them. If you wrote A, B, C, D, E, F, G, they will print the book, they will sell the book to you at an inflated price. And, that's great if you've got a lot of money and you're not a serious writer and you want to have this book that you made maybe for your grandchildren. So, kind of for a very long time, it was traditional or vanity. And then we started having more and more smaller presses. And the more that the bigger traditionals got cut away, at one point there was 30 of them. Now we're down to only five. And one of those is Scholastic. So really only four for novels. And the smaller presses kept popping up more and more. Their challenge is they don't have this massive backlist to keep them afloat. They don't have like a Great Gatsby or books that are evergreen that are going to sell and keep them going if they take risks on other books and they don't do well. So we see a lot of the smaller presses going out of business. And that's really what led us to Acorn. Jessica, my business partner, had been picked up by a small press, and her book was one of those wonderful semi-unicorns that, they say with debut authors under a traditional house, if they sell up to 10,000, they've done extremely well. Most of them don't even sell 3,000 books. Jessica's sold 60,000 in the first 3 months. So she
Wow.
she was a bit of a unicorn. She was
Yeah.
carrying that small press, but they still eventually were going to go out of business because really she was carrying the press and the other books were not making the money that they needed to stay in business. So she got the rights back to her book and she came to me at the time I had a content editing company and she said, "Do you want to start a little imprint under your content editing company," which was Acorn Author Services, and publish the book that you're currently shopping and my book series. I'm going to relaunch it. And I said, why not? That could be fun. So we changed it to Acorn Author Services and Publishing. Eventually, it just became Acorn Publishing and launched from there. We were really lucky in that both of our books were successful and did well. Then we practiced on a former content editing client of mine, Alyssa Pedersell. She wrote a book called Somehow I Am Different. And like most of us authors, wasn't getting picked up by she wasn't getting even an agent, which we could talk a lot about, just how difficult it is to get an agent and then the agent to go shop it. So she wasn't getting traction. I said, "Do you want to do it under our print and see how it does?" And so she said, "Why not?" She had nothing to lose. There was nothing else kind of going on. There wasn't a lot of options for her. And we published the book, and it won at the New York Book Festival. It was named one of Kirkus Review's Indie Books of the Year, and it did well. So we thought, okay, we're on to something. Let's keep doing this because we love it. It's so much fun. It was just such a passion for us. And again, it allowed us to pick our work hours. So it's just a natural fit. And it was completely organic and unexpected in the beginning. And now it's become extremely intentional and it is my whole life. And I love it. But it's started off slowly and organically.
How many authors do you have now?
I need to count. We have
Okay.
over 200 books, and I would guess around 150 authors at least.
So
A
that's
lot of
pretty
our
good.
authors have written multiple books. So,
Yeah.
yes, I need to go and look. It will take some time to count them all, which will be a
Oh,
fun project.
but that's very impressive. And that is a good hallmark of a good company to
Thank
have so
you.
many successes. So as a hybrid publisher, how does that work? If somebody is, because I know people have said that they have sent queries to the publishers, but do you take queries or do you take
Yes.
submissions or how does it work?
With hybrid, and every hybrid works a little differently, but by definition, it's supposed to be kind of a combination. So ideally, it is the best of the traditional publishing world and the best of self-publishing and kind of combining them. So a good hybrid is vetting for quality of the book. And then if they take you and accept you under the imprint, your books, when they come out, are going to look and feel and read just as good as the books that you would find with the big five. So it's a landing place for good writers rather than doing it themselves. We charge upfront. It is 11,500 upfront. And then our authors keep the majority of their rights and profits on the back end. So with traditional, you get paid up front, and then on the back end, you're getting very little money on the back end. I mean, the majority of authors don't even earn out their advance, whereas our authors are keeping 70% in perpetuity with us if they stay with us, and they can go too. So if their books blow up, they could take their book and then negotiate a deal with a traditional publishing house. One thing that's pretty cool, well, two things that are really cool. It's probably the worst time in history to get picked up by these big five houses. So hard to do because there's so few of them and they take so few risks these days. But on the flip side, they're now going out and looking for books that were indie published, small press, self-published, hybrid published that are doing well and signing them. It used to be that if you did that, like, oh, your book's already out there, we're not going to touch it. Now they're looking for the books that are doing well. So it offers an opportunity to go around the gatekeeper. If you believe in your work, you can put it out there yourself. And if it does well, now it's proven itself. Also, what's really, really neat is that there's so many streaming services now. And they're not even looking at your sales numbers. They're looking for good stories. So we've been working with a film agent for several years now, and I shop our catalog to her. And if she has producers that are coming to her and looking for certain things, she'll let me know. I spoke with her 2 days ago, and she said, "Okay, we're looking for period pieces. What can you give me?" And I will go through the catalog and curate for her maybe the top 5 books from our collective that I believe would work best for her. And then I create worksheet for her with the log line on it and the information about the bio that a Hollywood producer would be interested in, and just, tailoring it for film and television. And then I give it to her. And if she likes it, she'll come back and ask for more information. And at that point, I'll reach out to my author and say, actually, I mean, I let them know as soon as I send her something. But if she's interested, then I get to go back to my author and say, she's interested. Do you want to sign a deal? And if they sign a deal through me, then it's almost like I was their first agent to get the deal. But they can also say no. Now, nobody really does that, but they can if they want to, because our authors can't go and shop their own film and television rights. They keep those rights.
Well, that sounds very exciting.
It's
So,
so fun. It's so fun. And to get to go to an author and say, you got an option, one of our 3 of our books have been optioned for a television series. Like, that is the biggest high for me, is to go back to our authors and say, okay, your book sales are looking good and that's wonderful and your book is out in the world. But if you can go back and then say, oh, and also it's now been optioned for potentially a television series, that is such a joyful moment. And we also have an in-house foreign rights manager for books who will shop our books overseas. And that's another really exciting thing. A lot of our books, maybe 10-15%, we have helped them get overseas traditional publishing deals.
and well, that's also very exciting. So it sounds
Yeah.
like your company is doing very well, and you've got all these different things that you offer. So it must be more than if the person has the money. I know when I did my book, it was the DIY with
Mhm.
consulting and stuff like that. But so I guess if somebody wants a little bit bigger, or not a little bit, but a much bigger audience and many more opportunities, it's definitely worth the money.
I think so, but it's up to the author. I also know that 11,500 is a lot of money, and not all of us have that. So I see both sides of it. We use it. We work with, it's not just me and Jessica doing everything. We are working with vendors that we have built relationships with over the decade. And so we have an amazing cover designer we work with. We have amazing formatters we work with, content editors. We have put together a group of people that do each part of the project and we're managing it for them. And then every one of our authors is assigned their own personal publishing coordinator who's reaching out to them every week, giving them updates on what's going on so that they're part of the process. But there's a lot of moving pieces to the puzzle. And it's really exciting times. We started off kind of in the Wild West 11 years ago when pretty much everyone assumed, well, if you're charging, then you're vanity. And so there was always kind of going in and having that stigma. That has gone away significantly as so many things have changed in our business. And so now, we have agents coming directly to us. We have an in-house agent working with us. And because the world of publishing has changed so much, we're able to do what we can do for kind of on a boutique level. We're not processing hundreds of books a year. We're focusing on at most four new authors a month at most. So we get to be particular about who we want to work with. And so for us, it is quality of the writing and that we like the person because it's such a close long-term relationship. So we're fortunate that we get to pick people we like.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to ask you next is that, I'm sure it's not just if somebody has the money to spend, it's, you know, what they have to offer you. So it's not that you will just take anybody who's got the money. They have to have something that you can work with, your company can work with.
Right. Because we take such a small number, we want to make sure that they all have that potential so that when I am pitching them to our agents, that I feel confident about the book I'm pitching because it's our reputation. Every one of our books represents every one of our other authors, and it's our reputation on the line. And we took 11 years building it, so it's very important to us.
So what are you looking for now? If people are watching this and do they send you a query letter or maybe there's things you don't are not interested in and they shouldn't bother?
We do a wide range. We do fiction, nonfiction, narrative nonfiction. We stay in our lane as far as we're not doing coffee table books, we're not doing graphic novels. We do children's books, but other than that, we're not doing picture books. We don't do erotica, not because I'm against it. I think it's a wonderful genre, but because it represents all of our other authors and it would make some of our authors uncomfortable, we don't take erotica. And we're very particular about horror because it's a phenomenal genre, but Jessica and I have our own moral system. And so we don't want to do anything that feels really deeply uncomfortable to us. Any sort of gratuitous violence against women and children, we're not interested in publishing that. But it's a pretty wide array. It's not, I'm not out there scouting for the next memoir or the next thriller. It's really good quality work that we feel is making the world a better place in one way or another. And entertainment is important too. And that we like the author because we're going to be spending a lot of time with them.
So if somebody does have, say, mainstream fiction or something like that that they want to query you with, how would they do that?
They would send me just a very informal query. I'm not judging their writing based on the query. I just want to know, what is your genre? What is the word count? Who are you? Why did you write this book? And then the first 3 chapters in a Word document. So that's it. Don't need an agent. You could send it directly to me since we're chatting here now. My email is holly at acornpublishingllc.com. Holly at acornpublishingllc.com. or you can go on our website and submit through the website. But it's just an informal query and the first three chapters.
That's great. And I will link to your website in the show notes so people can find that there. And but you also do your own writing. So what have you been working on as far as your own writing?
My obsession for years and years now has been my book that's coming out on Halloween. It's called The Oracle. I am so excited about it. It's a hybrid book, which, I always find myself writing. It's easier if you can write in one lane, like a strict thriller or a strict women's fiction. I tend to blend genres, so I would say it's predominantly upmarket thriller, but it's got magical realism elements in it. There's a romantic relationship because I think every story is better when it has love in it. And the Oracle, if I should practice my pitch for it, it's basically about a disgraced Hollywood medium to the stars who has a vision of a massive bioterrorist attack that's going to occur in Beverly Hills. And she's terrified of letting people know publicly and being wrong, and the last shred of her reputation would be gone. So she has this huge moral dilemma and has to decide what to do. And it doesn't go all that well for her in the beginning, but she ends up, you know, leaning into the hero's journey and going off to find this eco-terrorist, who it turns out is directly tied to her darkest secret from her past. So it was so much fun to write, and I'm almost sad to let it go out in the world because it won't belong just to me anymore.
Aw, yeah, I know. And yeah, that's a good way to describe what it's like, releasing a book. And it's like, but it sounds very interesting. And the blending of genres, I mean, that's one of the things I think that has happened a lot with, in the film and music and publishing industries these days is the blending of genres.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the expected tropes. I like to read books where I don't know what's going to happen next, where I am genuinely surprised. I like an adventure. So, so yeah, I hope that other people do too. It was really, really fun to write. Magical realism was a brand new thing for me completely. I had to spend a lot of time delving into that world, mediumship and the language and the thoughts behind it and all the spiritual practice. And I learned so much, and it enriched my own life by learning about that and incorporating all of what it's like to be a medium into the book. But then also the thriller part is kind of, my sweet spot for what I know and what I'm comfortable with. And it was really fun to combine those two.
Well, with your background in PR, I'm sure that you have a really good marketing plan and all your publishing experience, putting all these books out. So, uh, what are you planning to do for your launch and for your because you've got Halloween is a good release date and
Thank you. Uh, Such a good question. So in the past, I have put very little effort into my own books because from day one, the first book I put effort into, but I was learning and I got lucky. Kingston Court did really well. It got picked up by BookBub for a feature deal, which I recommend to any author to apply for because those can be just such successful campaigns if you get accepted into it. And so it kind of built itself organically. And then the next two books I put after that, I was so focused on my authors that really I was writing these books because I'm a writer and I love writing. But beyond the writing, my energy has always gone towards my authors. For this one, I've been very intentional about setting up marketing for my own book again and using the tools that I have been teaching my authors over the last 11 years. I had reached out to lots and lots of book boxes because I think that that's a really great way to get your book in front of new audiences. And I just love the idea of a book box. Are you familiar with them?
No, that's tell me about it. That's I love learning something new.
Yeah, so they're really fun. They're like, most of them are subscription based. So, for example, before I met my husband, he was really into cigars and he had joined a cigar group where he signed up to get a gift once a month. And so every month he would get a surprise gift in the mail with one type of cigar and then maybe cigar cutters or different things related to cigars. And it was a surprise box that he would get every year, kind of like, an adult present to yourself. And with book boxes, you get a surprise book and you get gifts that match the book. So
Wow.
usually you sign up for a subscription. This book box that I'm doing, Thrillerer, is out of Canada, and she allows people to offer just to buy one book box to give as gifts. So you can sign up, for monthly or quarterly, or you can just purchase one book box as a gift. So somebody would be able to pick their genre, and then the book would be a surprise, and then the gifts would be a surprise.
Oh, that's great. And I mean, I'm surprised I haven't heard of this yet, and this is great to learn about. It's
Yeah.
kind of like I know my grandmother used to be, a Book of the Month Club member, and so this is kind of a play on that, but with something extra, an extra gift.
Yes, or a few gifts. Maybe it'll
Yeah.
come with candles and a keychain, or this particular, her name is Alex with an I, Alix. She does like hand carved Canadian keychains with each one of them, and just tying in different themes for the book, and in her case, doing these special keychains that she either hand carves herself or she works with an artist to create them. But it's so
Wow.
neat. And you are the marketing expert, but what I have found from watching all the different things people are doing is that it has changed so much. I mean, it used to be that you wanted to get on television and radio, and now we see so little sales movement for our authors. What I'm finding is it's becoming more and more about finding the niche people that would love your book, because when you have over 3 million books going up on Amazon every year for sale, it's a hurricane of things, of options. And so rather than going wide, we feel like you find your niche and you go narrow and you find the people that would potentially love your book most and push it out to them so that if they like it, they tell their friends, and word of mouth, ultimately, no matter how much money you put into a campaign, is what is going to set a book on fire, is people reading it, loving it, and telling other people. So we focus on getting it to the target audience. I did the book box, which I'm really excited about. And she specializes in thriller or horror, so mine's thriller. We're reaching out to podcasts that would have listeners who are interested in a book like The Oracle, and book clubs. That's another place we're really focusing on
Yeah.
reaching out to book clubs who like the kind of book that I wrote. So it's all about giving your book the best chance at success.
Well, it sounds like you're doing a really good job at that. And I know you said that you love writing and you love writers, and so I guess that's why you joined in with the San Diego Writers Festival.
Yes, yes. They invited me to join the board. I said yes, not knowing what I was going to be getting myself into. And it was one of the best decisions I've made. It's such an amazing, it's all volunteers, and the festival is free. It's one day, and we have sometimes up to 2,000 people come one year was 2,000. I think we were closer to 3,000 one year. So it attracts people from all over, and it's one day free festival. And our headliners have been incredible. Just really big name authors to headline. So people are coming in part, Jodi Picoult we had last year as our headliner. So that brings in a lot of people just who want to come and listen to Jodi Picoult speak. But we also have classes going on all throughout the day so that writers can take a class taught by, if they're writing thriller, they could take multiple classes written by thriller authors, or they could take publishing classes and learn more about the publishing options available to them. They could take a content editing class. They just all these free classes going on all day, and it takes a full year of planning for each one of these festivals. We meet on average once a week, and then as we get closer, we meet even more often. And it's just all hands on board to make it happen. And every year we're worried, is this going to work? Is this going to happen? And it does. It all comes together.
Well, yeah, it sounds like a very fun event. And I know San Diego is a very fun place to go visit as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, and we've had it on Coronado Island, which is actually a peninsula, but
yeah,
it's a beautiful place. And it's at the Coronado Library as well as the high school, which is right across the street. So it's two locations right next to each other. So it's a big, beautiful space to come and get to see headline authors and meet other authors and take classes. And then if you're not from San Diego, you could get a hotel and go do a bunch of other fun things while you're here in San Diego.
yeah. So, do they have dates for 2027?
We don't have the dates yet. The
Okay,
dates, it's just one day. We don't have it yet. It's typically in April.
yeah.
This year we did it in late March.
I'll put a link in the show notes so people can go and keep an eye on that. And maybe they probably have an email list and
Thank
they can sign
you.
up for that. Great.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. And
I
there's
bet.
food.
Yeah. Oh, food. Well, gee.
Yes, there's vendors and coffee, and then we
Oh,
also,
yeah.
we usually have poetry on the lawn, so we have a poet laureate who's usually out there and running some sort of poetry slam or, different things going on for that as well. So it's all inclusive for all the different types of writers.
Well, that sounds great. Is there anything else that you want to, any other last advice you want to impart to the listeners?
There's always a way to make your dreams happen. It may not be the traditional route. It may be something that you had never thought of before. But if there is something that is important to you and matters to you and you're passionate about, you will be able to find a way to get there. So if you love writing, write. And if you want to get published, find a way to get published and get your work out there.
Well, that is excellent advice, and I thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.